right. Here we are today at the Dave and Dave Show. We're going to go, what's take 3? Is that a candy bar?
No, I think it's take 5.
The take 5? What did that stand for? Well, as it says on the screen, that's Dave, and I'm Dave.
I'm younger Dave. You're older Dave.
Episode 113. So, we have taken a couple of shots. We got a beautiful intro that you're going to be seeing next week. Our series of bringing people on has taken a break this week because we had a cancellation, an in-house cancellation from our own brokers who are super busy taking care of and helping out all of our agents. So understandable, we'll give them a pass.
Yes, because of the crazy busy market.
So let's jump into the market. The whole show today is going to be based on the market. One part of it's going to be the facts. We're going to talk about the numbers, and the other part is, as usual, the mindset. And we're going to talk about today what happens when the market crashes. Not the market's going to crash anytime soon, but what happens when it does? As an agent or as an entrepreneur, can you survive? As an investor, as a landlord, can you survive? And not only are we going to talk about can you survive, we're going to show you how to survive. We're going to tell you how. And not only survive, but to thrive. Because there's a lot of opportunity when the market crashes. So we're going to be talking about that. Your phone's ringing. You're already breaking the rules. Already breaking the rules. It's ringing everywhere. So nice to have you back on here.
Just your Apple Watch, you hit the red dot and you're good.
I know how an Apple Watch works. Do you know how Do Not Disturb works? As
No.
I don't have one on mine. You know what I was thinking as I was walking in here today, Dad?
How handsome I am?
Besides that, I was thinking, how many more Dave and Daves do we have?
When I was 21, I know.
How is that relevant?
What?
What do you think? We do about
You mean before
35, 40
you
a
mean
year?
Before I die?
Well, no. I don't know if I'm going to be able to carry you onto this thing at 85. I could barely handle it now.
You could do Weekend at Bernie's and just put a stick in me and sit.
Who's to say I'm not doing Weekend at Bernie's now? As it is, I do the whole freaking thing.
Well, I'm half alive.
If I put sunglasses
half
on you,
alive.
it's like
Half alive.
I talk to myself.
Staying alive.
So let's see. I was like, we could cap it at 500 shows, kind of like we do our company with 500 agents. But I was like, that's a lot of freaking shows. I mean, that would be 383 more shows. We probably do about 40 of them a year. That'd be 10 more years. We're already at almost our 9-year anniversary at
I would
Urban
be
Nest.
69 then.
You would be 78 and a half years old. 79.
You know, I like to lie about my
Listen,
age.
just because you have those nice teeth doesn't mean your teeth are your teeth are newborns.
They are.
Your teeth are straighter than anything on your face.
Matches the lines. That
It actually does give you some youth. We get you. I mean, we could do some work here.
A little Botox.
You actually look really good for almost 70, 69. You're gonna be. Isn't that crazy that you're gonna like? I was talking to Ange about that yesterday. I was like, both my mother and my father are gonna go 70 back to back. That's insane, and I'm gonna have 70-year-old parents.
Well,
You don't seem 70 to me. You look really good. I look at you, and this is what I used to do. My poor father. Before I shaved my head, I'd never shaved my head before, and I was really concerned that I would have a wacky shaped dome. You know, you don't know. Some people have like those striations. It looks like a brain on the outside. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, I hope I have a good dome. I mean, obviously I do. But I would do this. This is how psycho I was. I'd go behind him on the couch, and I would take my hand and put it on my head because I had hair, and I'd try to feel it, and I'd go like this.
Yeah.
And I would try to feel to see if even now it feels similar. You have that. It feels very similar.
I'm used to this, folks. I had that done to me quite a lot by him.
So I knew that my dome was going to be good. I was actually pleasantly surprised when I shaved my head.
Normal people would have shaved it, looked, decided that.
Way too vain.
Yeah, okay.
But you got to love my father. I actually did go on, we drove all the way down the Howard Hughes Parkway, the Hughes Center,
We did.
for a Bosley hair restoration consultation.
For you,
For
not
me.
for me.
He goes, is that your father next to you? I go, yes, it is. He goes, forget it. You don't have enough hair. You're not going to be, you might as well just own it. I got rejected. I failed the Bosley
test.
the test, although who knows nowadays.
They said you got to take hair from somewhere.
Yeah, and that was the days when you had to get the scars. And once you commit to the scar, you're in, because then you got the scar for life. But now they pull it out, whatever. But there is this thing on TikTok called Phil Does Hair, and you literally get a real hair that you can they glue it to your head, and it's like a glue that doesn't hurt your head, and then they actually style it, and it looks amazing. And what I want to do is I want to lose 40 pounds.
You want me to go first?
Wait, and I'm gonna get the wig, and I'm gonna like grow out my sides a little bit. I'm gonna put the wig on and get it all done, and then I'm just gonna show up to like an event
With it on.
and pretend like nothing is new, and just see what people's reactions are. Like I just walk in, I got a flat of hair, and like see if, and then just own it, and then wear it every once in a blue moon. And be like, yeah, I'm wearing a wig. It looks kind of cool, right? Wouldn't that be kind of fun?
Yeah, I think John Travolta does that, because there's pictures of him with the beard
Yeah.
and a bald head, and then
Yeah, but he didn't admit it. He finally came out as a bald man.
yeah.
Not as anything else, but he came out as a bald
One
man.
step is better
One
than-
step at a time. He's out as a bald guy. The rest were not having it. Which reminds me, I was watching another TikTok, and they had a Joan Rivers on it, and they said,
I saw it.
name your favorite gay guy in Hollywood, and
Yeah.
she said John Travolta.
She was so
She was funny.
funny, cuttingly mean.
But good. She reminded me of Grandma Franny.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we just had a conversation about nothing, but just you
Hair.
and I talking, we're going to jump into the market and mindset. And, maybe this conversation's kind of good. Like, this is what we do. And this helps us keep a good mindset with everything, just bullshitting and talking about fun stuff. So, let's talk about the market real quick. The stats, what's going on, for those of you who watch every week, for you realtors who don't have brokers that tell you the stats on a weekly basis, we're here to fill in the gap for free. How nice is that?
Very nice.
Very nice of us.
Very nice.
So you did the stats yesterday for our company.
Right.
In escrow jumped up a little bit.
Like 4,500.
How much in escrow? 40-something, 4,500, and then we had like what, 2,100
Available.
available. We're sticking right where we're at.
It is every single week. 10 up, 10 down, 20 up.
Yeah. Whoops.
So
Okay.
we're staying the same, which means it is a seller's market, and the buyer needs to have a great agent to get their deal accepted on multiple offers.
Not only that, a huge portion of them are tenant occupied. Good 20-30% of those.
Yeah.
So the true amount of homes on the market. I think Angie was telling me yesterday that she made it sound really interesting at first. She was like, "There's 0 homes in Summerlin available under 700,000." I said, "Really?" She goes, "With a pool." And then she added one more thing. "Oh, built over 2005." I go, "Listen, babe. At first, when you said there's 0 houses available, I thought it was interesting in Summerlin, under 700. Then you said a pool. Then you said after 2005.
So basically, there's 0 homes available that meet her criteria of her buyer that she's
You
looking
got it. You got it. But she goes, "Isn't that interesting?" I said, "No, it's not. It's not at all."
No, it isn't interesting. It's tough because obviously he has a buyer that gave it that criteria, and there's 0 fill-in for
Yes.
that criteria. And that's what I was saying about a buyer right now has to be very diligent and very devoted to get a house. And the buyer cannot get frustrated if they have to write 7 to 10 offers. One of them will get accepted.
You're very reserved today. Very diligent and devoted if they want to get it. We need to.
I'm hopelessly
Shake you up, baby.
devoted.
All right. So we have seen some records, though, lately. My old stomping grounds, Reverence, is on fire.
Woo!
Red
Who
Rock,
knew?
Red Rock is still insanely on fire, right?
Prices that I never thought I'd ever
Ever
see.
see?
My house.
Has it hit 500 a foot in there yet?
Oh yeah, some houses that were redone at 6.
This
crazy.
is real deal pricing.
I mean, if you take my house, which is smallest on the golf course, it's going for $1 million now.
Yeah.
cray
And you
cray.
can't even, there's all these comments about value, right? Like if it's really worth it or not.
Well, you remember what we used to say, and people go, "Oh, that's a cop out." We'd say the comps are, but the true value of your house is what the buyer is willing to pay for it.
Exactly.
Never has a saying been so true than what you used to say.
Seen a lot more desktop appraisals. People, the mortgage companies aren't even appraising anymore, like going in the house. Like that's how much they're willing to give out the money.
And a lot of people are saying that, yeah, that the bank waives the actual appraisal, which is desktop, and that's beautiful.
What do you see happening as we talk about crashing markets coming up in the next quick segment? What do you see before we talk about that?
I see a very steady, as long as the interest rates actually notched down for the first time this week. And I found that interesting because they were steadily going up. So I see a very steady buyer's market. I know there's people out there saying, let's wait till the market changes before we buy. Not so much. If you're an investor, you have that time on your hands. But if you are a buyer that needs to live into your home,
But aren't investors now taking up a huge portion of the market?
no.
I think it's more than you think. I mean, we got to get the stats. I thought we were up to over 20-something% investors. I think you're wrong. I think we need to
I
look.
think you better get a
think you're-
check, and next week you could say if I was right.
I think there's a
or
lot of people. A
wrong.
lot of people are trying to hedge against inflation, which is the most ironic thing. Is the more people try to hedge against inflation, the more they create it. That's a quote of your day for today. You know what I said? This is a quote. Can you leave the fucking text alone for 3 seconds?
It's nice, it's
for
funny.
3 seconds.
'cause you
We're here
talk-
for less than like an
You
hour.
talk
like 40
about my
minutes.
age, right?
40
But
minutes.
technology has surrounded.
No, it's not. It's your ADD.
No, it has nothing to do with my age.
It totally does. We're in the middle of a conversation. This is what it's like.
And my phone is
We're
vibrating.
having a serious conversation, and he'll look at his phone. He won't even know the number, and he'll be like, I got to take this. I'm like, we're in the middle of a very serious conversation about this, and this. And he's like, I got to take this call. Oh, hey, what toilet paper do you use? Oh, I like to wipe my ass with this one. And I'm like in the
Charmin,
middle of a conversation. You don't really live in the moment.
No.
Intentionality.
No.
You're always next. You're like my wife, getting her to like, I don't even remember what the hell we were talking about. That's where I'm at. I don't even remember.
We were talking about the market and what you felt, and I'm the old one with senility or whatever.
Ooh, don't talk in this direction.
The coffee breath.
Eat that plant, please. No, just kidding. I'm kidding. It's actually much better in real life than you'd.
So what I was saying is
You're
that
talking about Red Rock. What were we
yeah,
talking about?
Red Rock, but we're talking what the market's going to do, and I believe it's going to be steady,
We were talking about interest rates.
which I said have actually took an initiative.
Oh, we were talking about inflation and investors.
Yes.
So but I do believe the more people, here's what happens. Everyone goes, the value of the dollar is tanking, right? Which basically means this, guys. It means that what $100 or $1,000 or $10,000 would buy you a year ago has much less power today. Everything seems more expensive because it is, right? So things are getting pushed up, not just in housing, in stocks, in crypto, but also in actual goods, expensive watches, trading cards, baseball cards. And we're even seeing the speculation on these NFTs, which is these non-fungible tokens, which are crypto.
Currency.
What?
Cryptocurrency.
No. They're collectibles.
Oh.
Digital collectibles, digital art, digital. Yeah, it's a real thing. It's going to be. So here's how it plays. Let's just talk about these NFTs for a second. If you have kids, which you only have me, and I don't play, what's that, Minecraft or Roblox, what they do is they're in these virtual worlds and they buy these artifacts, okay? And there's a social hierarchy based on what you have in this virtual world. It's very interesting. So for instance, down the line, we may all be spending a lot of time on the virtual world. So having a Tesla in the virtual world that costs you real money versus having a Ford in the virtual world will be a thing. People will actually, it'd be like buying a Louis Vuitton purse. And even though it's not actual physical, this is the future. I did this all for you for free. I'm telling you the future. If you want to read a book, that you can understand this, read Ready Player One. I know it was a movie, but read Ready Player One. They just came out with the book Ready Player Two. Super, super interesting. Anyway, back to inflation. People are buying everything, and they're pushing. Mercedes G-Wagon. You know the boxy one, right? Looks like a military vehicle.
Yep.
It's usually like 150, 160 grand or plus, depending upon what engine you get. They're selling 30, 40, 50,000 over sticker. Rolexes.
Not me.
I understand, not you, but this is showing what's happening in the market. What happens is if people feel like they have to buy, whether their liabilities or assets, spend money because the value of their dollar is going down, and they'd rather have something that's going up in value, what happens is the more they hedge, the more they push the prices up of everything. It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. So everyone is, cash is trash. So there's a lot of people, this is why I believe a lot of investors are in here, and flippers are winning right now too. Right? So a lot of the market is flippers. Everyone and their mother are geniuses right now because they're flipping and making money.
And I can understand that because the buyer of today wants a redone pretty house. So
I get it,
I
but
understand why flippers are winning.
But they're buying at a
premium,
and they're selling at a premium. So when you are playing this game, it becomes riskier and riskier, right? So, because and then depending upon how much you're scaling, if you buy one at a time, you're holding one. If the market changes, if you buy two at a time, you're holding two. This is what happens. So it's curious. I'd be curious to see how leveraged people are right now.
And I remember when we had the Great Depression, we had a high-end.
You were around for the early 1940s?
Yes.
I thought you were. The recession, the Great Recession?
One of the agents where we worked had like 3 high-end flips. And he fixed them and he flipped them and then they didn't sell and it went.
So that's my point. I think there's a lot of people in the market, whether from California or whether they just, see, here's what happens is everyone starts seeing like, wow, that person who held on to the Bitcoin made a shit ton of money and now they're worth hundreds of thousands of dollars more or millions of dollars more, right? The people who played the stock market, Chipotle is up to like 1,500. Chipotle, mediocre, right? So everything's inflated. People are watching other people who bought houses and they didn't get in the game, right?
I don't particularly like Chipotle.
I just said mediocre. It's not fattening enough for us. That's the problem. Do you know there's a special menu where you could actually first get a quesadilla with cheese and then put the burrito on top of the quesadilla? Now that sounds interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot order it on DoorDash, actually. I tried. No dice. So back to where I'm saying is if everyone feels like they missed out, and now all of these things feel like can't miss, you can't lose, then everyone starts jumping in even more. I called the accountant maybe a month ago, asking him, what did I ask him? I forgot what I was asking him about, but he was telling me that, we ended up talking about everything. He was telling me that people are cashing out of their retirement accounts to get into the real estate market.
Really?
Yeah, this is kind of that nuanced information.
Wow.
Interesting, right?
Yeah,
now,
do
do I think that real estate is a safer bet than stocks? Yes, because most people don't know how to play the stock market game, me included. Real estate's a little bit easier. It's tough to get beat if you buy, hold, and can afford to pay the payment, or have someone rent it and pay the payment for a long time.
And
No one really loses.
the thing is, people would say,
You really don't lose the stock market if that's the case too.
didn't you see the Great Recession coming? They'd ask us as realtors. There was very few signs, and by the time the big signs came, everybody got hurt. It's a snap of a finger, and
I just think that, and it's one of your sayings, all that glitters is not gold. And the numbers now, and people just submitting to the numbers, are getting a little wonky. And something's going to have to give. And I don't know if we're going to start seeing a loosening of the mortgage industry, and if we're going to see funky loans like 0% down and things like that. I'm not sure. I don't know. So let's transition right now into this.
mm-hmm.
Right? What did I put? How did I put it? Hold on. I forgot my words. Could you and your business survive a market crash? And this is what I'm thinking. This is what I keep hearing, and it drives me insane. You ready?
Go ahead.
This time, it's different. This time, Dave, it's different. The market's not going to crash. The government's not going to let it crash. And then there's all these. You think Elon Musk would be putting 150 billion or what 1.5 billion into crypto if Bitcoin was going to crash? Do you think they would let the stock market crash? Well, what the hell happened with Lehman Brothers in 2008 if they're not going to let it happen? Right? This time's different.
Well,
This
for the
time-
housing market, I do believe that I don't mean it's different because anything could change, but for the housing market, I think the bad loans were a major cause of it.
I agree 100%.
And I think that the bad loans aren't there this time.
I'm not
So-
saying it's happening tomorrow, but my question is, will eventually the music end?
You remember in my 44 years, right? What did we do?
Over and over and over.
Over and over again. Up, down,
So-
up, down.
So my point is this. When someone says this time is different, it sounds like a friend who says, oh, he cheated on me once. This time is different. Oh, he cheated on me twice. He's going to be different this time. Sorry. This time is not different. The music will stop.
Well, I don't think it's crash. I think that
Listen, he's hedging. He's hedging because he doesn't want me to freak you out.
No.
I'm not trying to freak you out.
the market always, if you look at any chart, if you're concerned, the market is peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys. So I think more what you're talking about is the valley. Can it go forever without going into a valley? My answer is no.
So my question is this. You're on a roller coaster. Basically, you're saying it's a roller coaster. Roller coasters go up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down, right? But you know that part?
Roller coaster sounds scary. I like peaks and valleys.
It's a fucking roller coaster. I was just on that one in Mission Beach. I barely can get it over my belly, first of all. They had to push the thing down. I had poor Lola next to me. She's jumping out of the thing almost.
Oh, you went on one?
Oh, mistake. It was like one of those old wooden ones. Man, it was some friggin' ride. It was fun, but it was intense. My poor daughter had to hold on to me because she's too skinny. But you know that part of the roller coaster where before you go on the big, it
goes
tick, 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 tick,
Yeah,
tick,
know it.
right? I just feel like we're in the tick, 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 tick part. Eventually, we're going to go and like, everyone put your hands up and off we go. Oh, no sweat stains. Nice, clean as a whistle, baby. Raise your hand if you're sure. I just did. So, if this time isn't different, that's the case, it's not. I will, if it's not different, then we basically become a socialist communist country because then they have to take over everything, right? This time will not be different. It could be in 18 months, it could be, who knows, in 5 years. I'm not in the predicting when it's going to happen business because I think, like Chicken Little, that we always break his chops. The world is ending. He's always saying the world is ending when it's doing great, and it's doing great when the world is ending. And I said to him basically, listen, if you say the world is ending and you say it's going to rain every single day, eventually you're going to be right? But you're going to be outside a lot of days in the sunshine with an umbrella, right? So we're not saying I don't think it has a lot of runway. I truly believe it has a lot of runway. But here is the nuance, the distinction that I want to drive home. And it is when it does change, regardless of what year, how are you prepared? That's the distinction. Because when the music stops, there's going to be plenty of people that have the chair. When you play musical chairs, music stops, find your chair. And what I'm saying is, plenty of people are going to do this right, and they're going to have their chair. They may have more than one chair. Just don't be the person that is without a chair. And that's the conversation of how do you play offense and defense in any market, especially in this really irrational, exuberant market. So offense, defense. Remember you sent me an offense, defense camp, right?
Hey, Dave.
So
What a good dad I was.
You
I
were.
sent you to all those.
I met Carl Banks and Lawrence Taylor at that.
Right.
So offense and defense. So I don't care what ratio you do. A lot of people they say this is kind of a conservative way, is go 60% offensive and 40% defensive. We talked about that a little bit yesterday. Listen, it's not when you invest, it's not what you invest in, it's how you invest. That's what matters. Mm-hmm. And if you want to look at your primary home as an investment, fine. I personally wouldn't, but let's just pretend a lot of you do. A lot of people do, because they want to see their equity go up, and they look at it.
And what happened the last time, they looked at how much equity, they grabbed their equity in HELOCs, second loans, and that's when the market did drop, they all lost everything.
Exactly. So who's going to get caught? I'm going to tell you who's going to get caught. The person who's getting hard money loans to flip 10 houses at a time. When it changes, it's going to change fast. And if you're sitting on 10 houses, you may get caught with 6 or 7 or 8, and that may be enough to bankrupt you.
Yeah.
That could potentially get you caught. If you're a homeowner buying one house and maybe a rental, you're not going to get caught, because the interest rates are going to protect you. The payment, as long as you can afford your payments, or you have a renter who covers the mortgage, you don't get caught. That is investing intelligently. That is being smart with your money.
That's my houses. When it came, I was all right.
Get caught.
I didn't get caught. I had enough money down, and all 4 houses.
But you also didn't exacerbate the problem. Everyone said, oh my God, the world's ending, and then they start strategic defaulting, and they made a bad problem worse because they started running from the hills. You were very disciplined and said, I'm keeping all my homes, even though I lost a ton of equity, because your rates were locked in, your down payments were good, they were rented out, you cash flowed. You were smart enough naturally, because you had no institutional learning on this or knowledge. You said, all right, Dave, I lost a big part of my net worth.
I did.
But who cares about the net worth? It's what you said to me.
Yeah.
My cash flow, my life has not changed a single bit. And that is the people, that's the bull that doesn't run down. That's the bull that walks down. And if you know the metaphor, you can run with it, right? Or walk with it. So that's from a homeowner standpoint and a real estate standpoint. Now let's talk about it from a real estate agent standpoint. Okay?
Okay.
Because agents now, listen, gotta love our industry. We're part of it. We bitch when it's too good of a market. We bitch when it's a horrible market. We just like to bitch. We're an unruly group, right? But it's not necessarily a fun time for agents right now. But a lot of agents are still doing fantastic. We're having month after month of our best months ever.
Yeah, and it's hard. You have to work harder to get the deal closed and to get a deal. But even if the market goes the other way and people start selling or foreclosure or short selling, we still get part of the market. So a good realtor, no matter what the market is going to be successful. No matter it's this, successful.
So I would say to you, if you're a realtor, always have 6 months cash on hand. If you can. Because it's going to end. What?
Well, if they don't go out and buy a super duper Mercedes something.
6 months cash on hand. I personally like a year. That's playing defense or having your investments. You never know. I mean, unless you're running your business as a true owner and you have a team built, you're in the hit by the bus crowd. The hit by the bus crowd means if you're hit by the bus, no one can make money without you working. That's no good.
Let's take COVID. We didn't know. We were roaring ahead.
Best March ever we were going to.
Right.
Yep.
And the market was great, and we didn't know. But we run our business the way we run our lives. So where other companies were giving up physical offices, laying their employees off, we didn't either.
And that's why don't listen to the cash is trash crowd. Because what they're not telling you is in a down market, cash is worth 4 times the amount it's worth. Cash is king with a capital K in a down market.
Where did you get cash's trash crowd? I love it. Where did that
I watch a lot of stuff.
Oh.
Cash is trash. That's what a lot of people are saying about inflation. If you're holding cash, you're losing money. That's the game. That's what a lot of people are adhering to. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And in some ways, they're right. But I don't know about you, but I want to be a buyer of businesses, homes, opportunities galore when it dips, whether it falls. I'm going to buy a couple of stocks here right now. Maybe I'll buy a house if the right deal comes about. But I'm going to be super disciplined and only jump for the situations that work. And I'm not going to over leverage myself. Listen, we're in the real estate. To run a real estate company with 4 different locations and a staff of 10, that's a lot of risk in itself. You know what I mean? And so we always feel like we need cash reserves to make sure because we're debt free. And who knows? Who knows what happens?
That's saying COVID. Who missed a paycheck?
Nobody
what
here.
Building was
Exactly.
closed? None of them. And that's the security of saying, okay, we're not taking a salary. We're not going to spend certain money, but we kept it open.
But owning this business is a high risk because the amount of companies, not just real estate companies, companies in general that fail, is like 80 to 90% of companies, entrepreneurs fail.
I guess I'm used to it with the rest.
I understand. It doesn't feel like risk. That's our huge risk. Our defense is our cash reserves. You see how this works, right?
That camp I paid for all those years worked.
But
the offense, defense
that's
camp.
not, no.
How about the SAT camp?
No, even in football when you play offense and defense, right? You still have to score points. You can't be too reliant. The old defense win championship, those days are over. Like you got to be able to score. You got to put the football in the end zone. That's just the way it is, and then hold enough to win. And that's the game we were going to play in the pandemic before we realized the real estate market was going to come back. I said, listen, Pops, we have this much runway with just operations, which meant that if him and I don't take a paycheck, we can sustain our business for this much. And the way we were looking at it, it was anywhere, depending upon how many agents stayed with us or whatnot, anywhere from a year to 2 years just on that. Then that's not even including how much we put of our personal money in to keep it going.
And the fact that we could afford to stop taking paychecks because
Of course.
we had backup money. But that's the way we run things.
But that's the way you guys should run it as well. You know, you got to play the what happens if I can't close a deal. You know, I'm doing a course right now starting next week for our agents on predictable results in the real estate game. And there's nothing predictable about real estate, yet if you do a certain amount of things, disciplined processes, systems, routines, you can control a certain amount of outcomes in an uncontrollable industry, right? So we brought in a consultant actually so this is how insane we are. We spend money during the pandemic. We spend money when things are good on improving our business. That's the time to shore up the home, right? To shore up your business, to shore up your finances, to shore up your life. Not when things go to hell. It's when things are good. That's the time you buy the extra insurances. That's the times you reinvest in your skills. That's the time you put some rainy day money away. That's the time you put your trusts and everything together. Like, this is the time.
I agree.
But when we met with the consultant, he tried to do these leading indicators. And what did we tell him? Like how can we predict what we're going to close the next month, right?
Yeah, it doesn't work.
It's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to do because you're beholden to what? What are we beholden to in real estate?
The market.
The market.
Oh,
There
you
you
looked
go.
at your phone. You yelled at me, you looked at your phone.
I am carrying us here, for Christ's sake.
All right, let's talk about...
No, we're not talking about that. Just because you're losing interest doesn't mean that they love this. I could feel it on the camera. They're into this. You
Okay.
can't stay with it. We need like 4 people on the. That's why
I like 4 people.
That's why I have to have guests, because I can't with him.
I can't.
Listen.
I can't hold my hand. Hold my hand.
Listen. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. He can't keep still. That being said, these are his fundamentals.
Who's the
You
father?
have
and
to
who's the
have
son?
strategic risk, asymmetrical risk. Asymmetrical risk is high upside, low downside. Where's the opportunity? Okay, that's the best kind of risk. If we win a lot. If we lose a little or next to nothing. As you talk about a calculated risk, you're literally, I figured this out recently, taking the calculus on the risk. It's calculated risk, right?
I like it.
It is. So, be exuberant, be rational, enjoy this market, run up with it. Because I believe it's going to go vertical. When I mean vertical, I mean we're not even seeing where it's going to go yet. But cover your ass while you play that game. Is that fair enough? Did I bring it down? That's mean. I didn't mean dumb it down. Did I bring it down to the
You didn't say dumb it down.
to
You
the
said bring it down.
deconstructed level? And the way you do that, if you're a realtor, is you put in all the work now, so that when the market does change, you'll watch the realtors to your left, no longer realtors. The realtors to your right, no longer realtors. And then you'll still be there winning and thriving. And you'll almost be wishing for a market that changes, because then you don't have to outswim the shark, which is the market. You don't have to outswim the shark, which is the pandemic. You just have to outswim the person next to you. And we were even starting to say, okay, which companies are going to go out of business, which companies are not going to pay their commissions to their agents, which companies are going to start closing their doors, and we don't want to buy those companies. No. We're going to cherry pick the best agents from each place. So if you're a real estate company out there, we're giving you free advice too. Get your house in order so that when it does happen, boom, you're ready to go.
Surviving.
Exactly. If you're a flipper or investor, don't leverage yourself too much. Make sure you can cover your debts. Make sure you can release the money quick, because those 9-10% loans, those bridge loans that you're taking, they're going to come due.
And this time, if people did, it was such a rare thing that the tenant was allowed to stay in the house without paying. Something that has never happened before. So we're going on to changes May 1st, right? And a lot of things are changing for the better.
There's like a sub comments about buying a real estate through your IRA with no tax consequence. Talk about missing the point. All right, so it's actually not a bad way to do it. Again, same thing. You could buy it through your IRA without losing money. You could also buy it through insurance, whole life insurance. You could borrow against your insurance while the insurance compounds every single year. And all you're doing is paying yourself a fee to loan yourself money. Super intelligent. This is more sophisticated for people that have some savings, and it's a great way to push off your tax to the time you get older and whatnot. I mean, some people 1031 till they die, and then their kids pay the tax, or the trust never pays it, right? So that's a whole nother conversation for another time. It's strategic though, and that's why I want people to get intelligent with the facts and not get so emotional, because there's so much emotion on the way up and there's so much emotion on the way
I'm
down.
not emotional.
You're really not. You are very pragmatic with this.
Yeah, I am.
But I think most people are emotional. They get caught up in the frenzies, right? We have this thing when you're betting, like if the public is betting one way in a football game, you usually bet the other way. Right? Warren Buffett is saying something when people are greedy. I forgot the comment, but basically go in the opposite direction of the herd, right? You be frugal when they're greedy. Be greedy when they're frugal, right? So go opposite. So I'm kind of watching this now going, I mean, my poor wife, I think my house is worth like 30 to 40% more than we thought. And I want to sell this thing so bad. She won't let me. See? Gianna, this is your fault. If I didn't have a newborn, I would have an extra couple hundred in my pocket right now for her. She won't let me move, Pops.
No.
Would you move?
There's all factors. You have Gianna, I have age. I don't want to move now, and getting a few $100,000 won't change my life.
So let me ask you a question though. So let's bring in, not to bring in politics, whether it needs to happen or whether it doesn't need to happen. I'm not even going to take a stance on this because your political party is how you seem to take stances on there. God forbid anyone just starts off independent and looks at every issue as an exclusive issue. They have to already take sides, like a freaking football game nowadays. But that being said, there may be some changes in the tax code with capital gains and whatnot. Now, listen, we talk about taxes all the time. Nobody wants to pay them, but everybody wants the services and be taken care of. Nobody wants anyone else to get handouts, but they want to get their own hands out. That's just the world. And finding the balance of that is where we're at, right? Like, how much should we take care of our fellow person? I believe we should, but is the government is going to allocate it correctly? Or does the private sector do it? We don't know these questions. I think we have anecdotes for all of them.
And I'm probably an independent because I don't believe in the capital gains raise. I believe it could be raised a little, but the numbers they're talking about are ridiculous. But I do believe in the over 400,000 raise that President Trump had cut the richest of the people to a less.
I really don't want to talk about actual people.
No, I mean, I'm not. I'm just saying I do believe in the tax income raise. I don't believe in the 1031.
So I'm talking about how it affects real estate. So for instance, so let me ask you a question. Here's how you have to watch the news. Whether you like it or not, you got to be informed. Like, don't say, "Oh, I don't watch the news. I don't have cable." That's unintelligent. You better be on some kind of website, whether it's CNBC or CNN or Fox. I don't care what you're watching, but you better know what's in these bills. You better know. And regardless of, you can't really control what's going to happen, but you can anticipate what will happen after that happens. So for instance, if they mess with the capital gains on people selling their personal homes, then one of two things will happen. Either people will hold their homes and businesses forever.
No good.
Or they'll sell them now in a rush, right? Let's just say they came out and said if you sell your home in 21, it doesn't affect it. But starting 2022, if you make over a certain amount of money, you're going to pay capital gains on your personal home. For instance, I would say, Angie, I'm sorry, we are selling our house immediately so I can get the tax exemption in 21, and then in 22, I'll reset the clock with a new home. You see how these things affect where you're at. You've got to be smart and informed on what's going to happen. Then I would assume you would sell.
I would.
Right?
Yeah, I'd take my one-time capital gain, which would be near to the profit, and make it tax-free.
And then you'd buy again, and who cares if you don't make money because you got to pay extra tax on it anyway.
Right.
Right? So there could be some good consequences, some unintended consequences, some bad consequences of this. Who knows? Maybe no one sells and prices go through the roof even more.
Right.
Maybe everyone sells and it has the reverse effect and prices start dropping because everyone's trying to get the tax exemption.
When it comes to real estate, though, they better watch what they're doing, because what I said at many a meeting is real estate rules the economy. If real estate was bad...
I'm going to push back on that.
Well, when real
back.
estate went bad, the whole economy went down.
I agree, but, I agree with you on that. But let me ask you a question. If it continues going as vertical it is now, aren't we going to have problems as well?
Yes.
So, this is, again, I don't want to pontificate and be self-righteous and like I know what I'm talking about more than you. No, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to them.
Oh, yeah?
But to every action, there's a reaction, right? And what I'm saying is, then what the hell do you do? If it can't go too high and it can't go too low, what would you do, right? So listen, whether you're a Trump guy, a Biden guy, or neither one, what do you do? So what do you do, Dad? How do you slow down the economy? Do you raise interest rates?
I would. Right now, I would.
So you'd raise interest rates, but you wouldn't mess with capital gains. You see, and so that's interesting, right? Like, and I'm with you. I think the capital gains has been a really good thing for not just rich people, but for everybody.
Everybody.
You know, that's the way people can actually live in their house, take the gains, not be taxed on it, and off we go. So I'm with you on that. But interest rates would hurt the economy too. It would hurt the real estate world. So we're out of balance again. And we're out of balance because of the government in the first place. Both administrations, way too much money printed, right? So we're weakened at Bernie's economy, propped up. So I'm always down for the, oh, you can't do this or you can't do that. But fine, give me an alternative. Give me an alternative.
Well, in our city, if the price is still going up, we're going to price so many people out of the market that then it's going to go the other way.
So then how do you have the most boring roller coaster in the world?
Raise the interest rate a little bit, that everyone isn't saying, I got to buy now because the interest rate is so low, I'm never going to see it again. Make it a little higher so that...
So you balance it out as you go, right? But the thing is they're so afraid that there's two economies right now. Maybe if they raise the interest rates, they lose momentum and then have bigger issues. So let's bring this baby full circle. You ready? You know, like how I tie this baby in a bow. You ready? You ready?
I'm ready.
Can you control the market?
No.
Can you control the government?
No.
What can you control?
Yourself.
Exactly. And how you react to things.
Mm-hmm.
So I guarantee you there are people, very intelligent people, or people in the right network. You know, show me your friends, I'll show you your future, right? Show me what company you're at, I'll show you your future. And basically, what I'm telling you is there's going to be winners. There's going to be people who are going to go, this is what's going to happen. I don't care who the government is who does it. I don't care what the market. This is what happens. This is what's the opportunity. They're playing chess 5 moves ahead of everybody else. And you can play chess that way when you're disciplined, when you make good cash, right? And you have money or access to money for the opportunity when it comes. You're not over leveraged, you're intelligently invested, and you know when to pull, when to leverage the taxes, loopholes, when to go in one direction, when to zig and to zag. And that's the whole point of this entire conversation around when it ends. Are you going to be playing chess? Or are you going to be playing checkers? You like where I came with this? Because it's next level stuff. Because you could do all the right things and still get screwed.
Yeah, you could get caught.
Right? And then what happens is you're the guy who's like, I'm not going to jump, I'm not going to jump, I'm not going to jump. And you're super. You know what it's like? It's like this. I was in the ocean this weekend. Right? You grew up in the ocean, so you know this. And I was trying to explain to Ella and Lola how you handle a wave. Right?
2 ways.
2 ways. You could either back away or you dive in. But if you hesitate and you're stuck in no man's land, what happens?
You go under.
Crushed. So you have to take an action. There's nothing wrong with being, knee deep and enjoying the water and the waves are crashing way ahead of you and you're getting a little bit of the residual. That's a safe defensive play. Or you're in it and you feel that wave coming, you got that split second, you dive right in.
And you come out over
You
it.
come out beautiful, right? And then the ocean's kind of nice past the waves. But if you hesitate and you get stuck in the middle because you're uncertain, game over.
You're gonna roll.
water in the nose.
You're gonna roll. You're gonna have sand in your bathing suit.
Exactly.
And
I
maybe
think,
a little gagging.
so know when to go back and know when to dive into the waves. So I think that's a beautiful metaphor for the whole thing. I think a beautiful metaphor for life, don't you think? Like, you know, depending upon how many drinks I had in me at the time I was in those waves, I may have been having a conversation with my kids while I'm trying to teach them about waves, how this is a metaphor for life, that you must take risk and know when to take risk, because that person who's like, I want to do it, and they're waiting, and they're waiting, and they're waiting, and they're waiting, and they're ready to jump, and they jump at the wrong turn, and the wave just crushes them, and then they're like, of course I should have never jumped. The wave was going to get me no matter what. No. You didn't go for it.
I like diving in them.
So do I. But you have to have a little bit of experience with the ocean. You have to respect the power of the ocean. You have to take it seriously, and you have to, even in California, I never realized this. Last year, I didn't realize, what is it when two waves hit like this? It's called a, God, Californians, surfers know what this is. It's when two waves hit back to back. So I dove into one, not knowing another one was coming over.
Behind.
Woo! That thing twisted me into a pretzel, right? That's when the game gets more complex. Now you're starting to look for not just the wave, but the second wave that's coming. What's the name of those? It's across.
I'll say. I don't know. I'm not a sailor.
I mean, it was two waves going like that. So, listen, know when to play offense and defense. Be not only prepared for changes, but be excited for them. Like, all right, I have enough cash held back, I have enough access to cash, understand the markets, understand where I'm going to go, that when there's a dip or when there's a correction, I'm going to win at an even higher level. I win as a realtor, as an entrepreneur, as an investor, as a homeowner in general. But I got more opportunities to win when things change and everyone freaks out. Don't sell as it's going like this. That's when you buy, right? When it's going crazy, be a little discerning. You know, like maybe, I'm not saying don't buy the house that you love, but don't overpay for the house that you love that's worse than the neighborhood. That's what happened in 06. Everyone said, everything's going up. I'm going to buy everything.
Remember that?
And then you get stuck with the one that's functionally obsolete, backing, town center, and it's the one that had a one-car garage instead of a two. But you thought, hey, everything's
Better
going.
than nothing.
Better than nothing. And then you're the one that can't sell. Right?
Agreed.
I'm giving them some good knowledge.
Experience. Decision.
Yeah. All right, parting shots.
May 1st, a lot of good things happening. City starting to open up.
Just saw 80%.
80%. Spas are opening up again. A lot of great restaurants could go 80%. Moratorium in this state on the rentals. They have a month to get it together from May 1st to June 1st, and then we're done.
June 1st done.
Done.
Man, you tell me this now. We could have had a whole conversation about what do you think is going to happen on June 1st with all these houses coming available.
I take it back. June 1st, June 31st.
All right, that made no sense. There is no June 31st.
June 30th, it's over.
June 30th?
The CDC went to June 30th.
I thought it was September 1st.
No, absolutely not.
So it's June 30th.
Yeah, and our governor said,
So mid-year.
you have the month of June to figure it out. So in other words, in June, if you're looking to work
So people are
with the
going to get
landlord-
evicted?
If you're going to look to work with the landlord, do it in June. If you're going to do a program, do it in June, because June 30th, it's over.
So he just brought my point home even more. Pretend the interest rates jumped to 7% today, tomorrow. All eviction protection's gone, okay? And all of the bailouts are gone, right? And the market shifts quickly. Do you survive? And even more so, do you thrive? Cash may be trash. I know they're all saying that. Don't forget, it is king when it changes. So that's what I got for you today. Play offense and defense. Another one in the books. Next week we have some great guests coming. We will see you on the other side. 113 in the books, mother.
Bye.
All right, bye.